Hello. So today I want to share a list of things with what I want to forgive myself for as a minimalist, but also as a highly sensitive person. And it's about the mistakes and things that I did before minimalism, but also even when I was starting or practicing minimalism. But before I do that, I just wanted to thank you for all your kind reactions on my last video and just for watching it. And it really filled my heart with so much love and warmth, and it was so nice. So thank you so much for that. So about the list, I made it because I felt that I wanted to let go of certain things and to have something written, maybe some sort of statements, if you want to call it like that, so that I can reread it and look over it and just think about it, feel it. And I wanted to start out with a fresh mindset and a clear focus so that I know where I want to focus on from now on. And it's important to take accountability, but also to just let go and move on sometimes. And I thought that maybe some of these points are relatable, so I wanted to share them. So here are the things that I want to let go of and forgive myself for. And I do this while I show you a bit of the city Vlissingen. And it is one of my favorite cities in the Netherlands because I love the beach there so much. So I forgive myself for thinking that I needed so many external things, for wanting to impress others with stuff and with what I had, or just impress them in general with what I did, what I've achieved, or with job titles and so forth. And I am okay with me wanting some nice quality things in good materials for myself to enjoy. Also, I do find it important that I care for myself, how I dress and how it makes me feel and so forth. Less but better has always been an important theme in all of this. But I don't want to be trying to impress for others, and I forgive myself for all those years that I was dressing for others, decorating my home for others, and so forth. I forgive myself for all the times when I was unconscious and mindless about everything that I bought, that I did not consider the impact of the items that I bought and the impact on myself, like my money, my budget, the impact for the environment perhaps. When I just bought something thoughtless and it was fast fashion that I did not even wear, and it just filled my closet for a while to end up in a landfill anyway. And I do try my best nowadays to think more about what I buy. I also forgive myself for all the mistakes that I made with things that I purchased, that were led by advertisements, by social media, or me wanting something that I've seen others have and only for that reason. And even as a minimalist, to some degree inspiration is good. It gives you something to think about and know if something is for you or not. But I am aware that I am so vulnerable for aesthetics and for novelty, for feelings. So when I see someone's home even, or especially minimalist homes, and I like the vibe, sometimes I want to try it out myself, the style, and if it works out better, and I can easily forget to stay close to myself, my style, and the thing that I feel most home in, even though I always end up going back to that, no matter how many novelties I try. And I have let myself get carried away way too often, even as a minimalist. And some of the pitfalls for me are the trendy zero waste things, though I know what works best for me, and usually those are not the most trendy approaches, but more the traditional old farmers approaches, if you would call it like that. I'm more into the second-hand and thrifting things, or just reusing things that I have. I forgive myself for all the times when I got carried away by novelty, by trends, by too much trying out new things, trying out other people's style. And deep in my heart, I know what works best for me. I hope I will drift away less and less often and stay closer to my core in the future. I forgive myself for the hard-earned money that I wasted on things that I did not even use or enjoy, for all the times that I used shopping as a coping mechanism or to fill a void, to just get some distraction or to get a quick dopamine hit. I forgive myself for the times that I did not seek purpose and meaning, but I just wanted more money and more stuff and so forth. Forgiving myself for the times when I was overshadowed for weeks, months, and even years. For all the times that I did not give back to community, to others, be it for selfish reasons or just because of exhaustion. For the times that I was rushing in pointless directions, while I should have taken a step back and reflected, when I was just constant doing and going, but I didn't know where to. When I knew that I was lost, but I carried on anyway. For all the times that I did not let myself rest, did not let myself slow down while I needed it. And also all the times when I got carried away by so many distractions from myself, from my core values, from all the things that I wanted to do, from the things I wanted to see, wanted to enjoy, the places I wanted to visit, the things I wanted to create, the art that I wanted to make, the things that I wanted to write, but I never did because I got caught up in too much daily life, in too much that had to be taken care of, too much to do, too much to think about, too many responsibilities, and just too much overwhelm. And most of those distractions did not even matter in the long run. I forgive myself for thinking that I had to do something to be valuable, that I had to achieve something, to have a certain job title and certain possessions, when I was looking for people to validate me, not for who I was, but for what I had, and not knowing how much more important it is to be meaningful and to give more to this world than that you take. I forgive myself for thinking that I did not meet my parents' expectations, thinking that I did not meet society's expectations, and that I have been so sad about that for such a long time, ever since I was a child, that I never felt good enough and that I never really felt as if I had the right to just exist without expectations, without achievements, without accumulations. So I forgive myself for the fact that I did not know that I can be free from all of that. I can set myself free and just not caring for any of those expectations. And I also mean this more in general, thinking that I should fulfill other people's expectations, whether teachers, bosses, friends, you name it. And I'm not here to fulfill anyone's expectations, and all they can do is focus on themselves instead. I am just who I am or who I want to be. And this can change over time. In fact, this can change many times. Sometimes I know more certain who I am, and other times I'm more wondering. But still, I am autonomous. I am who I am with all my faults and all the good things combined, and that's fine. I forgive myself for listening so much to other people's opinions and their input about how I should think, how I should feel, what I should do, and so forth. And I forgive myself that in all those conversations I was silencing my own thoughts and my own wants, my own feelings so often, and that as soon as someone else's voice was talking through my own voice, I took theirs above mine. And that I would always held it in the back of my mind and that I just could not let go. I forgive myself for all those times that I would doubt what I felt, what I saw, who I was, what I was thinking, and all those things. I forgive myself for all the times that I wanted someone more than they wanted me, and that I saw their lack of compassion as a challenge to convince them of my worth. I forgive myself for all the times that I completely lost myself in others, when I got so caught up in lovers, in friendships, in conflicts, in dramas, in pets being sick and dying all the time, just so caught up in others and abandoning myself. Especially when it was often one-sided and it was just me losing myself. So it's time to be present again, to be here for myself and to try to not lose myself for anyone anymore. I forgive myself that my whole life I was thinking that I have to consider other people's feelings always above my own feelings. But I know now that they both matter and my feelings matter too. But especially when others always put your feelings last, you have to be extra careful of putting yourself first, because who else is going to do it? I forgive myself for not advocating for myself more or better, especially when I was too tired of the constant daily loud people and their never-ending demands. For all the times that I did not dare to say no, especially to bosses, to teachers, to authority figures, and to certain projects, to certain tasks, and so forth. I forgive myself for all the times that I said yes when I meant no. And I know this one is going to be difficult, but at least if I try to say no when I mean it, that's the most important thing. I forgive myself for when I did not care about my health or how I ate. And then after that, when I cared too much about food and went to the more extreme sides, maybe even losing myself a bit too much in diets that maybe went a bit too far, like the time when I got afraid for certain vegetables and fruits. I forgive myself for following one trendy diet after the other. As I said, novelty is a weak spot for me, but I know that the thing that works for me the best is to stick to pure products as natural as possible, but less restrictive, especially with fruits and vegetables. I forgive myself for all the times that I couldn't handle everything perfectly when I made mistakes. I forgive myself for not knowing better when I did not know better. For being too serious about life and about myself, because what a crazy ride this actually is. Forgiving myself for the mistakes that I made when I was in survival mode all the time and running in circles. For working too hard and enjoying too little. For putting myself in situations that brought the worst to me. Forgiving myself for all the times when things did not work out for me and thinking that it was all me, all my fault, and that I am solely to blame, that I am 100% responsible, like diets, schools, jobs, friendships, relationships, therapies, courses, you name it. And that even when I did all that I could, I still would blame myself and never something else. Forgive myself for not quitting faster sometimes with things that did not work out for me. I forgive myself for all the fears that I have. Fear to fail, fear of not being good enough, fear of not having enough, fear of not belonging, not being accepted. I forgive myself for having too big expectations instead of realistic acceptance in many areas of my life. For myself, but also what I can expect from others. I forgive myself for when I believed words instead of actions. I forgive myself for all the times that I tried to make myself fit in boxes where I didn't belong, like trying to be an extrovert and doing all the extrovert things while burning myself out, not knowing that I need time to recharge, for example. I forgive myself for all the times that I did the things I thought I must do and never doing the things that I wanted to do. I forgive myself for thinking that I was not free. somehow I was thinking I had to be a certain way, do things in a certain way, certain order to be loved or to be accepted, to fit in, not knowing all this time that I was free all along. And none of these people's unconditional love mattered, for they have never seen me in the first place. And so for all these things, I forgive myself and I also set myself free. So this was my list, and let me know if you can relate to any of these points or if you have other things to forgive yourself for and that you want to let go. I'm curious to hear those. And thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you all so much. See you next time.